So you're thinking of moving to Easton Park, but you're not sure which builder is right for you. Well, in today's video, I'm going to do a quick lightning round on each builder. We're going to talk about their specific incentives, their price points, their square foot range, and my personal pros and cons that I feel each builder brings to their homes in Easton Park. We're going to get after it right now. Hey, Daniel here, your local Easton Park real estate expert. If you're thinking of making a move to the Easton Park neighborhood, be sure to subscribe to this channel so you can stay up to date on the latest real estate news. I typically post once a week on this channel, and we do market reports, we do home tours, builder spotlights. So it's all Easton Park. This neighborhood isn't going to be finished till 2037, and so it's going to be changing consistently, and so it's great to look at these videos specifically for this neighborhood if you know you're really drawn here. I was a teacher for 10 years before I jumped into real estate. I was actually a band director. I actually taught at Aikens High School before I changed careers. And I found that a lot of the skills and values that drew me to education, that really were important to me, have transferred over really well into real estate. Honesty, hard work, effective communication, and truly caring about people and their goals is still really important to me. I don't know why I'm doing this intro while I'm walking up the hill. So it doesn't matter if you're looking to move in 9 days or 90 days. You can give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email, or schedule a Zoom call. Love to help you and your family find a great home and a great deal in our awesome neighborhood. I will say, if you are considering buying property in Easton Park, definitely speak with me or a realtor that you know before you meet with a sales rep. You want someone in your corner to help advise you before you start that conversation with sales reps, because their best interest is to sell you one of their homes. A good realtor like myself, our best interest is to help you make the best decision for what you need. So make sure you get with a realtor. If you don't know a realtor you know I can trust, reach out to me. I'd love to sit down, have a conversation with you, and talk about stamina walking up the hill as well as financial goals. Okay, let's get into the actual video. Whew, I ran a marathon, can you believe that? What is going on? All right, so the first builder we're talking about is NewMark. So NewMark is currently building in Balboa Park in South Easton Park. South right now will be Central in 2037. Their products, they do a courtyard home, and they offer a 45-foot and 60-foot lot. Really, the lot size doesn't change much. It's more about if it's a 60, it's in the back of the courtyard versus 45 is in the front of the courtyard. They take about 6 to 7 months to build. They are more of a spec builder though, so it's something to be aware of. Because they're courtyard homes, the courtyard is a shared driveway, they have very specific, I can only put this floor plan here, and so they already plan that out. You can't go in and say, I want this floor plan on this lot. They're gonna tell you what they have. That being said, if you get in early enough, you can still design some of the interior. So you do have some of those options. You can't pick the floor plan on the lot. That's already picked for you. Their incentives, they're offering $30,000 flex on anything that's not finished, so you can use that towards options, upgrades. You can also use it to buy down your rate, so $30,000 flex. Theirs is a little odd with their incentives because they do it per property. So for instance, one of their inventory homes, they're offering a 2-1 buy down, ending at 4.99%, meaning first year 2.99, second year 3.99, and then third year onwards is at 4.99. That's only on one of their properties though. All their other properties are just offering a 1 buy down, meaning first year 3.99, and then for the rest after that 4.99. So you have some options there. That they make it a little tricky as far as it's different per property. So they do have some decent incentives though. I will say pros and cons for me personally, living in the neighborhood, touring these homes every week. Con for me is the courtyard style. If you have a dog, if you want easy access to a backyard or a big backyard, you're not gonna get that with this style, okay? That's the biggest con. The pro for me is actually their pricing. Consistently, their price per square foot, and I actually just did another video that came out maybe a couple weeks before this one about NewMark and why they're not selling. They have really competitive prices and price per square foot. So if you're more price conscious, like price per square foot conscious, I would definitely recommend checking out NewMark. Last thing I'll say on NewMark, I forgot to bring at the beginning, is their price range is between $470K to $625K, and their square foot range is between 1,900 to 2,800. Cool. All right, let's talk about Perry. So Perry, they are building out in Prospect Park for their 60-foot homes and Pilot Park for their 40-foot homes, okay? Their price range, because it's very different products, is quite wide. It's between $470,000 to $930,000. They actually are the highest priced homes. They're 60-foot homes in the neighborhood. And that's between 1,800 to 3,500 square feet. Very different products between those two. It takes about 7 to 9 months to build. They are not a spec builder, so you can definitely pick a lot, pick a floor plan, upgrade it, go to the design center, do all of that. The incentives they're offering right now, very simple. On their 60-foot lot homes, they're offering up to $50,000 flex cash, which I'll discuss what that means in a second. And then on their 40-foot homes, they're offering up to $40,000 flex cash. Now, what flex cash means is you can use those funds to buy the rate down, which a lot of people are doing in this market. So getting it down to a 4.99% interest rate. You will still have money left over to pay off closing costs. And then there's other things negotiable as far as getting appliances included, and then bringing the price of the home down also with that flex cash. So that's what they're offering, and they are offering a forward commitment 4.99, meaning 6 months out from completion, they will lock in that 4.99. Doesn't matter what happens with interest rates in the market, they are going to lock that in for you. Cool. So pros and cons of Perry, I would say the pro is it looks nicer. The curb appeal, when I walk through the home, it feels like a higher end product. It's just the materials they use, the style of the home. It does feel nicer, a lot of natural light. They always put in more windows for whatever reason than other builders, so I think it feels a little bit more luxurious. The con on my side would be the financial. I think it's, you're gonna be paying a little bit of a premium for that. So your price per square foot compared to other builders similar size is going to be higher. All right, next is Taylor Morrison. So Taylor Morrison, their homes are between $550,000 to $780,000. And that's between 2,200 to 4,100. They actually offer the largest floor plan in the neighborhood at 4,100 and a bit square feet. They offer 50-foot and 60-foot lots. And it takes about 7 to 8 months for them to build. And they're also building, and it says at the top, but they're building in Prospect Park exclusively right now. As far as their incentives, they're offering up to $45,000 on the 50-foot product and up to $60,000 on the 60-foot product. Something to be aware of, when I say 50-foot, 60-foot, 45-foot, really what that means, it means two things. The floor plans they have, they kind of put them in those categories. So you can only put, this floor plan on a 45-foot lot, right? You don't put this floor plan on a 65-foot lot. But honestly, what it means is the width of the lot should be roughly that size, to an extent. I will say, I live personally on a 40-foot Brookfield home, but my lot is massive because I picked a corner lot, right? So take it with a grain of salt. You can get a 40 or a small lot size, but on one of the biggest lots, you still got a big backyard if you're smart about where you go with it. Taylor Morrison, as far as the pros and cons, I'd say a pro is they are a little bit better priced than if you're going for something similar price per square foot with Perry, right? A little bit more competitive with their pricing structure there. Two cons I have with Taylor Morrison, their upgrades, their design center is pretty pricey. And so you just need to be careful, going into that and being aware of that. You may get a really great purchase price, but then you're spending many tens of thousands more at the upgrade center. The other con, potentially, it's a very narrow window for their prices, right? I said it's between $550 to $780. So $550 is their smallest product. And so if you're looking for something in the 500,000s, Taylor Morrison may not be the best fit because it's really only the higher end of the price point structure in Easton Park that they're offering. All right, next is Brookfield, the big one. So Brookfield is also the developer for Easton Park, but they also offer a lot of products. They offer the most variety of products in Easton Park. So I'll go through them very quickly. They offer their detached condos, what they call their urban homes, and that's currently being built in Union Village. And then they're building their courtyard homes, which are just like NewMark and Pacesetter, the shared driveway courtyard homes, but at a lower price point. And they're building those right now in Prospect Park. And then finally, they have their 40-foot and 50-foot single-family homes, and they're building those also in Prospect Park. Prospect Park is where most of the builders are building right now. It's a massive subdivision in Easton Park. Now, as far as their price range, you would expect it to be quite wide. They are definitely the lowest priced builder in Easton Park. So their condos start at $290,000. and that's for about 1,100 square feet. And then their highest price goes up to about 580,000. So kind of their high end is Taylor Morrison's low end, if that makes sense, with their single family homes. And they can go up to 2,900 square feet. It takes them about 8 months to build in the current market. As far as their, and then finally, condos and courtyards are spec, so you can't pick a lot, do the floor plan, all that. But they're single family homes, you can pick the lot, you can go to the design center and do all of that. As far as their incentives, so they're offering up to 40,000 flex on their 40-foot single family, up to 50,000 flex on their 50-foot. And then on their condos and courtyards, most of them are inventory, right? Because it is spec'd out, and they're offering 6% flex. So 6% of the purchase price, whatever that is, you could use that for flex. So that would be around 18,000, 20,000 flex cash. So quite a bit less than the to be built, but the to be built, you also have to factor in the upgrade studio, the design center, and all of that. My pros and cons of Brookfield, so I've only lived in Brookfield. My first house my wife and I bought was a courtyard home, and then our house we live in now is one of their single family homes. I really like Brookfield. I think it's a great, price effective builder. That's what draws me to them, and I think they do as good a job as any other builder with the product. So pro for me is definitely price, but also variety of product. You can get in maybe your first house under 300,000 in Easton Park. So you're living in a great neighborhood and you're under 300,000. That's the only builder that's offering that, okay? Con, I would say, personally, I wish there was a little bit more natural light in their products. When you walk through, it's a little dark, especially when you compare it to Taylor Morrison and Perry and these other builders. You do lose a little bit of that luxury. But honestly, I'm a big fan of Brookfield in general, mainly because if you don't like one of their floor plans, they have 30 other floor plans that you can check out. So overall, I'm a fan of Brookfield, clearly. I bought 2 of their houses so far. One more thing about Brookfield I'd say is their 40-foot homes, they are building in Pilot Park, okay? So as far as the sections of Easton Park for Brookfield, condos are in Union Village, Courtyard, and 50-foot single-family homes are in Prospect. Their 40-foot single-family homes are only in Pilot Park, which is actually where I'm walking around right now. I live in Pilot Park, and you can see there's a ton of open lots out here, and they're all Brookfield. So this is where you would get a 40-foot home if you went that route. All right, next is Pacesetter. Pacesetter takes them about 8 months to build in Easton Park. Their price point is between 530,000 to 630,000. They do 1,900 to 3,100 square feet homes, and these are also courtyard homes, so very similar to NewMark. 30,000 flex, and they don't have a ton of inventory. They have about 4 or 5 homes currently right now, but they are in Discovery Park. They're actually finishing out Discovery Park off of Finial Drive is where their homes are. And then they're going to be in Balboa Park in the future, along with where NewMark is right now. As far as the pros and cons, so very narrow price range, right? We're looking at, what I say, 530 to 630, so very, very narrow with that. They don't have a ton of floor plans. Again, it's a courtyard style, so personally, my first house I said was a courtyard. I didn't really enjoy living in a courtyard home, but it was price effective. That's why I went that route. But as a dog owner, it's really tough because you don't have a traditional backyard. So something to be aware of. That's always my con when it comes to the courtyard homes. Also privacy. How they build them is your patio's in the middle of the house, and then your neighbor, their patio's in the middle of their house, and your patios are facing each other. So it is a little tricky from a privacy standpoint too, when you look at those courtyard homes from Pacesetter and NewMark. A pro, I would say with them, is very easy to negotiate. So they don't change their prices whenever they post their listings online. I don't understand why, as a business model, they choose to do that, but it's important that you know that, because if we see a house and we go, that's way overpriced. Why are they asking for $650,000? All the comps are under 600. Well, it's because they listed it 200 days ago and they haven't updated it. They would probably take a price under 600 in this example, but a lot of people kind of don't even look at it. So there's potential for good deals to get out of that, because a lot of people don't even put an offer in because they think they're lowballing when realistically Pacesetter just hasn't updated their prices online for whatever reason. All right, next is David Weekley, which is a very different product from everyone else in Easton Park. They are only building in Nelson Village, which is a gated community. It's actually the only gated community in Easton Park, which is nice. Their price point is between $330,000 to $500,000, and they offer between 1,500 to 2,200 square foot homes, so on the smaller end available. It's townhomes, meaning shared walls, and single family homes, okay? That's what they offer over there. It takes them about 5 months to build. They have quite a bit of inventory actually. And as far as the incentives, 5% flex if you choose the to-be-built, pick a lot, pick a floor plan type thing. And then they have some really interesting buy-down options. It's a little confusing, honestly. You have to look at their specific sheet, but basically it comes down to how much you're doing for a down payment and if you're financing or if you're paying with cash. So for instance, I'll kind of make up some numbers so you get an example. They'll say you can get this house for $350,000 if you pay with cash, or you can get it for $370,000 if you're doing a 5% down payment and you want to get a 3-2-1 buy down, or you can get it for $380,000 if you're doing a 20% down payment and a 3-2-1 buy down. Something like that. Obviously, I did those backwards. The 5% down payment is going to be the least lucrative. They'll jack the price up for that versus a bigger down payment, but you get the idea. So theirs is very different from what I've seen from other builders. Honestly, everything in real estate is negotiable, so I don't think that's a strict structure. Honestly, they probably have, like every other builder, just a bucket of money that they're willing to use as flex cash. And so it's really up to you and how you want to use that money, if you want to buy down the rate or if you'd rather use that to bring the price down or pay off your closing costs. So yeah, they make it a little more confusing than I think it needs to be. As far as the pros and cons of David Weekley, the con for me is just it's so tight. It's really tight. When you drive through Nelson Village, there's so many homes just right next to each other. And so even when you tour them, the backyard is very small, and you really have to be smart with your lot placement to not have a rear neighbor because they're right on top of you. So really, really small lots would be my biggest factor with David Weekley. As far as the pro, you do have that gated community, which is nice having in Easton Park. You know, you see the worst things on social media, but in our neighborhood, you know, Facebook page, that's where you'll see people go, hey, someone broke into my car. You know, I saw someone knocking on doors and kind of like stalking this neighborhood at 3 a.m. You do see some of that because we're off William Cannon, we're off Slaughter, we're kind of out in the middle of nowhere right now until they're building infrastructure, but slowly. And so for some people, I think having that gated community is going to make them feel a little bit safer. Personally, I think it's a little overblown, but if that is important to you, where it's like, hey, I like the gated community, that's a super important thing for me, then David Weekley is literally the only builder that offers that option in Easton Park. All right, finally, Highland Homes. So Highland Homes, they are building in Prospect Park. Okay, they are the newest builder to come to Easton Park. They offer only 50-foot lots, and their price range is between $590,000 to $660,000, so pretty narrow price range there. And they offer 2,200 to 2,800 square feet products. So all 50-foot, all relatively close to each other in size and price. It takes them 6 months to build. Definitely not a spec builder. You can definitely pick a lot, pick your floor plan, design it how you want. They offer 40,000 flex on the to-be-built, so you can use that towards upgrades. And then on top of that, 20,000 towards closing costs and buying down your rate. So that's pretty good. I think that's actually the best incentives I've seen so far. They do change their incentives month to month, so just be aware of that. You're watching this video now. I'm sure those numbers are going to be a little different. They like to just consistently update. This is our Valentine's offer. This is our New Year's offer. They do it by the season. But it's usually something along those lines of we'll put 30, 40, 50,000 towards upgrades, and we'll put some money towards closing costs too. I do know at the end of last year, 2025, they were really trying to push their homes, and so they were offering really good incentives with that, because I think they closed out a different neighborhood, and so they were really focusing on Easton Park, trying to build those numbers because they're the newest one here. As far as the pros and cons of Highland, I really like Highland personally. I think their product is beautiful. As far as a con, I would say they don't have a ton of floor plans you can choose from. So if you're looking at single family homes, the other options are Brookfield, Taylor Morrison, Perry. All those builders have a lot of different floor plans. I think Highland has 6 to 8 floor plans you can choose from, so not a ton. And then you're kind of stuck with that price range. So if you're going with Highland, you're going to be going between 590, 660. You're going to be in the 600,000s, and so that might just price you out already. Versus if you went with, say, Brookfield, their high end is 580. So you can get a little bit, you can get more for that price. And then as far as the pros, like I said, I think it's a great product. I think it's beautiful homes. I wish they had more homes built. They don't have a ton of inventory, and so that's also kind of a con too, but they're pushing more of the to be built, I think. And so they're not doing a lot of spec building out and selling as inventory. They're kind of just waiting for people to come pick a lot and then customize it how they want to. I will say last thing, and this applies to pretty much all the builders, for inventory versus to be built, they're offering incentives for to be built, meaning you pick the lot, you pick the floor plan. For inventory, most builders don't really have a set thing. They're just gonna say, bring your best offer. And so if you go the inventory route, typically you can get a better deal because there's more negotiating power we have, versus with the to be built, our hands are tied a little bit. And so something to be aware of if you're trying to get a great deal and negotiate and use your realtor to really get the best terms for you, as well as the best price, then inventory homes is the way to go for every builder, because we can negotiate quite a bit on those. But with the to be built, that's more of you're kind of sticking to the guidelines of, this is how much they're offering, this is how much those upgrades cost, this is the cost of the house, the cost of the lot, and you don't really have room to negotiate all of those terms. So something to be aware of. But yeah, I hope this video was helpful for y'all. I appreciate you if you watched the whole thing. That was a lot of listening to me talking, and I'm getting my exercise in. I walked the dogs this morning, but I'm just going up and down this hill. And it is really kicking my butt right now. I literally ran the Houston Marathon 2 weeks ago, so this is very concerning and embarrassing. But thank you for watching my video. I hope this was helpful, specifically if you are thinking of moving to Easton Park. I remember when I first moved here, I couldn't tell you anything about the other builders. It was just too much information. So that's my main goal with these videos, but also to reach people who need a realtor. And so if you are considering buying or selling, it doesn't matter if it's 9 days or 90 days, or honestly, if it's next year, you can give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email, or schedule a Zoom call. Love to help you and your family find a great home and negotiate a great deal in our awesome neighborhood. All that contact info can be found in the description below. Again, reach out if you have any questions. I definitely see myself more as an educator than a salesman. I never want to sell anyone anything. I just want to be your personal advisor and help you feel clear and confident with your decision. So if that sounds good to you, reach out. Love to have a cup of coffee and chat through your future. Until next time, I'll see you guys around the neighborhood.